Welcome to an episode of the Modern Hotelier. We are coming to you from the HITEC trade show floor at the dormakaba booth. We're joined by Darien Long, the SVP of Specialty Access Control Solutions. Thanks for sitting down with us, Darien. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Welcome to Indianapolis, our hometown.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go through a couple sections. We're going to ask you a lightning round, some quick questions. We're going to get to learn about who you are, what jobs you had, and then we're going to dive into some industry topics. Sound good?
I'll do my best.
Okay, first one, what's something you wish you were better at?
Singing. In my next life, I hope to be a singer.
What's the most used app on your phone?
TikTok for sure.
It's good. What's a luxury you can't live without?
I mean, it's a luxury for me, but coffee. Like, I need a coffee and a sunset every morning to just start my day.
If you could trade places with somebody for a day, who would it be?
Ooh. That's a hard one. Maybe. Oh, stumped. It's probably my husband, to be honest.
Yeah. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So I think when I was starting out my career in my hotel days, my very first GM, shout out to Eric White if he listens to this, but he told me, look, you can make money or you can get experience. And if you make money too fast before you have experience, you won't make money for very long. So get some grit in there and take your time to learn the industry, and then you'll be able to kind of grow your pocketbook later.
That's great. So now we're going to move on to your background a little bit. So you grew up in Texas, is that correct?
I did. I'm a Texan.
So how did growing up in Texas shape you into who you are today?
Well, I think we obviously have this diehard loyalty for our state. You know, we live in Indianapolis, or the Indianapolis suburb now, and I'm constantly telling my kids, you're Texans, not Hoosiers. Like, we love the Hoosier state, but you know what a really good tortilla and Tex-Mex food tastes like, you know, and I want them to have that same amount of pride that we have for, Texan, but in that same spirit, that translates into the hospitality industry, where we are very hospitable in the South, and we do our best to kind of keep those Texan values.
Sure.
So.
Okay, I'm going to try to get it right again. So you went to Tarleton State University. You got your degree in human resources. What led you to that university, and why did you pick that?
Yeah, so
that
human
field?
sciences, actually. So Tarleton State University, it's a very small state school in Texas. It is known for cowboys and rodeo, to be honest. I'm from a super small town outside of Austin called Marble Falls, which is like a resort community. So it was a good transition away from home for me to go to that school and still have a small town feel, but get a really great education. It's part of Texas A&M. And I wanted to be a teacher when I was younger. I think I actually took a couple different major changes throughout, but I ended up on child development. And I don't really use my degree today, other than, I'm a mom, and I get to hopefully do a decent job at parenting. But I learned very quickly that you don't make a lot of money as a teacher.
Right. Yeah.
So we should pay them more for sure, and maybe I would have stuck in that career. But I kind of found out I was pretty good at sales when I was in college. I started selling Mary Kay makeup like good girls in the South do. And I did really well. I got a car, and I kind of found this niche in sales.
Very cool. So you visited the dormakaba Workforce Solutions assembly plant in Germany.
I did, yeah.
What was that experience like? And I've also heard that you want an upgrade for the PPE fashion next time you attend. Is that right? I
think PPE in general and any place needs a fashion upgrade. I go to Montreal a lot. We manufacture in Montreal too. And I typically am in heels most days and switching to flats and having to wear these heavy steel toe shoe covers and smocks and all these things. It's not super fashionable, but yeah. So Germany is one of our manufacturing sites in Europe. It's in this very small town, Villingen-Schwenningen, and it's really great to see the community that we have there. We're one of the main employers in that area, so yeah, it's good.
Very cool. So now we're going to move on to your career, how you got to dormakaba. So after you graduated, you went to TravelClick as director of sales. What did those early days teach you that you still take with you today?
Yeah, so when I graduated, I started in hotels and I was really great at Agency 360 back at that day. And that took me to TravelClick because I loved the tool so much. And I was, teaching it to all of our hotels that we had at that time. And that job was an eye-opener for me of what a real sales job was like. Holding a massive quota, covering many states of territory. I actually moved from Texas at that time to Phoenix area, and I covered that territory. And then they moved me to Denver, covered that territory. Then I went back to Texas and started a family then and got married, and it was kind of great. I brought my husband along on all these journeys with me, but yeah, it's been a really great kind of experience and
Sure.
meeting hotels across the nation as I've transitioned throughout my sales career.
That's great. So you went to Alice, and then the end of 2001, you moved over to dormakaba.
I did.
And so you worked your way up to SVP of Specialty Access Control Systems. What made you come to dormakaba?
I think it was a really exciting opportunity. Being at Alice, being at a startup at that time, growing that business, it was something really, really special in my career. And that team that we had there was really amazing. And we sold that company. And at that time, it was just kind of a natural transition for me to find the next thing. I was ready for something different. And hardware was interesting to me. It was something I didn't know a lot about, but it's also some software components to it. And I just thought that I could bring value here. That was, I think, the biggest thing is I had some really great ideas of what we could be doing differently, how we could not be so hardware product focused and really be more solutions focused. So it was appealing. And obviously it is a massive company. We're a global company. We've got 16,000 employees. We sell all over the world. So kind of polar opposite from Alice. I think I was like the 21st or 22nd employee there whenever I left. I think the peak, we had 150 employees. I lead a team of 250 people just on my team for North America. So kind of polar opposites. Good to have a full spectrum, I guess, in your career.
Absolutely. So as the SVP of Specialty Access Control Solutions, what's your role and what are you really focusing on?
Yeah, so I lead the commercial organization for North America for 3 businesses. One of them is hospitality, which is, kind of what we're talking about today. So that is all of the access control components for hotels and resorts alike. The other one is vacation rental. So we position vacation rental a little bit differently. It is in the hospitality space, but typically it's a different product and solution that they have. And then also I manage a workforce solutions, which is a time recording business. So we work with all of the major ERPs like Oracle, SAP, Workday, PeopleSoft to track time and attendance for your hourly workforce.
So if anyone who's listening or watching doesn't know what dormakaba does, can you take us through that?
Yeah, so it's all things access control. Okay, so anytime you need to access or control access,
right.
That's what we do. And we do it in a lot of different ways. So, at HITEC here, we're talking a lot about electronic access and it's all of those door locks that you see in a hotel. It's anytime you see hardware on a door too, all of those components on the door we're selling in some capacity, whether it's on my team or one of our other teams at dormakaba.
That's great. So what is dormakaba showcasing here at HITEC? You mentioned electronic access. Any other exciting news you all are sharing here today?
Well, we've got so many great products in our booth today. Like I said, we're in our hometown, so it allowed us to kind of not have to ship everything, which allows you to really bring a lot more products into the booth. So some exciting products that we have are our modern fold products here. So those are movable walls, very popular in hotels, convention spaces, the ability to have those air walls and break and configure space. It can also be more of a design component in some spaces. They have like 180 different finishes that you can use in divisions of space. So really great product. I think that we typically have not brought to HITEC. Also EntryWorks, our planning tool that we use to help work with architects and specifying the products that need to go into hotels. Oftentimes we can see general contractors making a lot of the buying decisions, especially when it comes to new construction, but electronic locks is part of the tech stack.
Yeah.
So it's really important to get that right at the initial phases of planning. So that tool can help work with architects to ensure they're specifying the right things for the tech stack for hotels. We have, I'm looking around the booth just to see what I don't miss, but Ambiance Cloud, which is our cloud solution, operating solution that operates our locks. Cloud is a big trend right now. We want to get rid of all of those on-site servers, so we're giving demos of that. And then, of course, all of our hardware that we have to offer as well.
That's great. So how do hoteliers bridge the gap between guest expectations and legacy access security system?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think, the industry access control is evolving pretty quickly. It used to be that you could buy a lock and it would sit on your door for 10, 15, even 20 years in some case. I mean, we've seen locks go through hurricanes and still work.
Wow.
Okay. But that's not exactly the case anymore. As we have an evolving security landscape, we have to be revisiting these access control points like more frequently. So some things that hotels should do is, one, they should look at what are the friction points that they have in their hotel and their guest experience. And that can help them decide where they need to make investments. And it doesn't have to be big, massive investments. It could be more modular based investments that help them adopt over time to the future state that they want at a more affordable price. So,
as hoteliers balance a variety of expenditures, how should they prioritize what they do as they evolve their technology?
I think one thing is really taking a proactive approach to access control, and it doesn't have to be big, major capital investments. It can be like, taking preventative maintenance more seriously. Just like we PM our rooms, we need to be doing the same thing with our access control. We need to be making sure we're staying on the latest software versions, updating firmware every once in a while, and just, putting it into our normal rotation of checklists that we are so used to going through as hotel operators. And so frequently those things get missed because there is high turnover at hotels, or we're still using a spreadsheet to do those maintenance checks.
Yeah.
But like where you have digital systems in place, we can help build those preventative maintenance checklists and make sure you are, staying on trend. And it'll help minimize your capital expense and even really your operational expense too, because you're doing more smaller updates more frequently.
Sure. So how do access control systems support both the front and back of the house?
Yeah, so I was on a panel yesterday with some really great people from the industry, and we talked a lot about mobile key and some of the, room key and Apple Wallet discussions that are happening right now. I think that's a really great way to help, balance some of the operational needs we have in the hotel, because no one wants to wait in line, and we can now give them a frictionless experience to avoiding the desk and really only needing to interact with your staff to kind of make more magical moments, memorable moments that make them want to come back, not transactional interactions of, can I get a room key?
Right.
So that's one way of just trying to figure out, like I said, what are those friction experience that you have in your hotel, and then how can we better optimize them with either some integrations of technology to help the experience flow better, because that relieves your team of managing those pain points as opposed to managing the guest experience.
Good. And how do cloud-based security access systems, how do they play a role in hospitality?
I think they're playing bigger roles every single day. When I started in the hotel industry, I remember where that server room was.
Right.
And we'd need to go reset something, and you'd be like, oh, it's always hot in there, But, in most hotels these days, it's the rare exception that hotels have security teams or engineering teams on site all the time to manage that type of infrastructure. So cloud services can really provide some benefit to hotels when it's available. So when we think about access control, some things that can do is make sure you're always going to get the latest and greatest, right? You're not going to have to focus several hours out of your day at all of your front desk stations to do all of these updates anymore. It's going to happen seamlessly, which keeps you back into controlling your operational costs too, because you're not having to pay for those updates anymore. You're not having to pay for on-site servers that you need to manage. So I think there's huge benefits there.
Absolutely. Looking ahead, what do you see for the future of not only hospitality, but also access security?
I think it's really exciting. We were talking a little bit about this yesterday, and I don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
I wish I did, but there's so many cool things coming with AI. I'm interested to see how that will evolve into the digital experience that we have to help service guests in a new way, in a more thoughtful, proactive way that's intuitive to who they are and what they want, in ways that we just can't even begin to do as humans, without indexing all of these different sources that are available. So I think that will naturally trickle into access as well, because we'll be able to grant and revoke access maybe based on some of these needs that we see from an AI perspective at some point. I think it'll be super interesting. I'm excited to Someone much smarter than me has to come up with it though,
So what advice would you give to someone who's looking to get into hospitality technology?
Ooh, I think it kind of goes back to what I said before, take some time to really learn the industry and learn the people. We've got such great people in this industry, and it's a very small industry, I've moved many places throughout my career, and that's why I love HITEC so much, because it's a time for me to come and see all of my friends from the industry and be able to spend time with them and learn what they're doing. But take some time. There's many great mentors that I've had in my career here that are always willing to help and give on to the next generation. There's room for everyone. So take the time.
Well, that does it for another episode of The Modern Hotelier, coming to you here from HITEC, Indy. Let people know how they can get in touch with you, how they can find out more about dormakaba.
Oh, sure. You can find me on LinkedIn, Darien Long. You can also email me if you want, darien.long@dormakaba.com. Yeah, happy to talk to anyone.
Well, that does it for another episode of The Modern Hotelier, hospitality's most engaged podcast. Whether watching or listening, we appreciate you and hope to see you again soon. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You made it to the end of The Modern Hotelier. Thanks for watching or listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Modern Hotelier Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you know a good guest, sponsor, or have media needs, feel free to reach out to us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. Thanks and have a great day.